Someone in the last video said that I look like uh Jason Alexander from Criminal Minds, but with like dark hair. Um, and I I'm not gonna disagree with you. All I'm gonna say is that my girlfriend agrees with you, and she still likes me. So I guess that's I guess that's okay. I will be getting a haircut soon, though. Um, it's just that at the beginning of the year, my car broke down, and then I was in a boot for 8 weeks, so I couldn't do it. And then the woman who does my hair was scheduled out until April, so today we're just gonna roll with it. And also, we have the Vladimir Zelensky drip on with just a black Henley.
You said thank you once this entire meeting?
I don't know if I'm going to be doing this for every episode going forward for the rest of the season. I don't know what came over me, to be honest. Usually I have really bad task initiation issues. I've written full scripts, I've written bullet point sort of summaries that I could just riff off of for videos in the past, but there's something about this show and the MCU in general that really resonates with me. I care very deeply for the MCU, and I care even more deeply for the character of Daredevil. So I don't know, something just came over me. I'm probably not going to be doing a video for every episode of the season going forward. If anything, I'll probably just do one when the season's over and talk about the whole thing. We'll see. I don't know. The last video just got more views than I thought it would, so I just wanted to do this since we're kind of at the halfway point of the season, and I just had one more episode to kind of talk about, so here's a quick video talking about episode 4. I think that this is the type of episode of television that if it were to belong to any other Marvel TV series, it would definitely be the worst of the season. The type of episode where not a lot happens. We just kind of take some time to sort of get a sense of where all the characters are at since we're now at the halfway point and everything. But once again, like I touched upon in the last video, this show is continuing to prove that it has what it takes to keep the audience engaged without having to rely on cameos or huge universe sweeping twists or anything like that. It's just their little worlds, and that's enough. Can it feel a little tonally confused at times? Sure. But does it tie it all together in the end? Yeah, I think so. There is a case to be made that some of the more comedically leaning scenes with Fisk being kind of fed up with trying to keep up appearances with the kids' choir and the Latvian heritage thing, it seems like it definitely belonged to a version of the show that existed before the big overhaul. Seeing Wilson Fisk in a situation where you, the audience, are meant to kind of find it funny and laugh can feel a little odd. But to be fair to the show, I do think that this comes down to more of a question of how you, the individual, react to the scene as opposed to a question of quality. How you react to this giant volatile bull of a man just having to kind of sit there and listen to a bunch of children sing Jefferson Starship at him. It could make you laugh. It could make you feel uncomfortable. It could make you annoyed. Who knows? In the end, all it is there to do is serve the idea that Fisk is very much out of his element. While it can feel a bit tonally incongruent with the more traditional Daredevil-ish scenes of him navigating all the red tape and not being able to do what he's used to, which is intimidating and bludgeoning his way through bureaucracy, it still all brings it back around, helping to sort of illustrate his rapidly growing discontent with this new version of himself that he's trying to be. And it's the same with Math? Who's Math? And it's the same thing with Matt. He's trying to do things by the book, let the system take care of it the way that Foggy would have wanted him to do it. But he is obviously growing more and more discontented with the way the system operates. Does deterrence actually work? Does throwing the book at people down on their luck for petty misdemeanors actually help things? Is it really worth it? Is it worth it to waste time and resources to just ruin some person's life, to uphold a system that only really benefits a lucky few who are on top. Not only that, but under this same system, we just witnessed a man being proven innocent, but being murdered anyway because he got in the way of some plainclothes officers who were doing something that they really shouldn't have been doing. And going even further to prove how much better he is at doing their job, illustrating how adversarial their position in this system can be to the average person. And for that, he gets murdered anyway. And then it's just his family who are left to pick up the pieces.
No one's doing anything about it, and no one's ever gonna do anything about it, because he was just Hector from the Heights, and they're the fucking cops.
Which, of course, is the perfect segue into why Frank Castle needs to be an integral part of this narrative. As I said in the last video, the Punisher exists because of systems like this. Flawed systems that have no sympathy for you unless you are unbelievably privileged. Frank obviously does what he does because he doesn't think the system works.
I ran him down.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
I did what I had to do. Now let the system take care of the rest.
Oh, you and your goddamn system. You and your goddamn system. Christ!
And as long as he's still out there, he's going to do everything that he can to make sure that those systems don't churn out any more Punishers, which obviously is why these cops using the Punisher's logo is so just fucked up, which not only is important for this narrative, but also is something that happens in real life all the time. With police continuing to manufacture situations like this with plainclothes officers and the rapidly eroding writ of habeas corpus, finding ways to justify setting their sights on people like Hector Ayala and doing everything in their power to punish that person, they are just perpetuating these mechanisms that created the man that Frank Castle is. We finally get a scene really cementing that idea. The first scene between Matt and Frank.
You're so full of shit, Counselor. You're so full of shit. You're guilty.
Excuse me?
Yeah. That guilt, that shame, that's my home, Red. And I can see it on you. I can smell it on you. It's all over you.
And while this episode on the whole wasn't as great as the last three, this scene might just be the best thing that I have ever watched. And it's emblematic of what I'm assuming is the entire thesis of the season. That no matter what the system does or what lies it tries to tell you to try and make you fit its mold, the individual will always find a way to prevail. Now, whether or not it's a good thing, whether it needs to be abolished completely, reformed, that is your conclusion to come to. But while it is your conclusion to come to, it will never be your decision to make. It's the powers that be, and do with that what you will. Whether you want to keep faith in the system, whether you want to put on a flak jacket and spray paint a skull on it and wage a one-man war against the system, will you don a supersuit and beat the shit out of criminals? And even then, do you do it because you're dissatisfied with the system, or do you do it because you want to satisfy some base desire that you have to inflict harm on other people? Do you do it because these people do bad things, or do you do it because these people do good things better than you can? Or is it because they can satisfy your wife better than you, and so you kidnap them, beat them, starve them, chain them up in your basement, and then eat a delicious penne pasta dish in front of them? As the title of the episode suggests, the system will always be overcome. And there's a million ways that that can happen, but what really matters is if the individual who overcomes that system stays true to themselves. And while Fisk is out there going back to eating his decadent, delicious meals instead of his egg white omelet every morning, Matt is still denying himself. And Frank knows this, because Frank is what he is without any sort of pretense at all. And is this really what Foggy would have wanted for Matt? For Matt to just smush himself into a box while just denying himself?
So what now? Everyday Bullseye goes to the chow hall, eats his slop. You know he gets to breathe the same air that you breathe. You feel good about that? He got life! How about old Foggy? He got life.
Foggy.
Yeah, there's a few problems here and there, but I mean, let's also not pretend that the first 3 seasons of Daredevil were 100% perfect. While they were tonally and stylistically very consistent, I mean, there's still some issues, of course. Well, season 3 at least is perfect. I will concede that. But my point still stands. Yeah, the stuff in season 2 with the hand felt a little sloppy at times, and season 1 felt a little long in the tooth sometimes, but they always brought it all together in the end. So yeah, criticize it all you want. I don't care. But just don't let me catch you telling people that it's not worth watching, or that it has no substance, or that the cinematography is like muddy or something because your TV or your display sucks. I'm sorry. Gotta learn how to turn off that True Motion Plus. Constructive criticism, not patently untrue things that you then post hoc justify to try and make yourself look smarter, like you're in on something that everyone else isn't. Because in the end, it's just a Marvel show, and while it's deeper than most, it's not that complicated.